Welcome to the Real Film Nerds Podcast.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another incredible episode of the Real Film Nerds Podcast. Episode 51. I am your host, Matt Hinshaw, as always. Make sure and follow us on the internets at Real Film Nerds. We are on everything: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitters. So make sure to follow us. With me, as always, and I always say that, my good buddy, Mysterious Mike.
Hey, everybody.
So, Mike, why don't you put some clothes on? We're going for custard.
I don't want to put on some clothes, but I do want that custard, so I will.
Custard at Culver's, right?
Yeah, custard somewhere. Yeah, Culver's is a place you can get custard.
So, for those of you who do not catch that line, it is in the trailer. That is a line from White Boy Rick. Mike, do your thing. Give us the rundown.
All right. So, like you said, we're reviewing White Boy Rick. It was directed by Jan Dimage. Writers are Andy Weiss and Logan Miller and Noah Miller. It's starring Matthew McConaughey, Richie Merritt, Belle Powley, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and it's the story of a teenage Richard Warshie Jr., who became an undercover informant for the FBI during the 1980s and was ultimately arrested for drug trafficking and sentenced to life in prison.
All right, Mike. So, what did you think of White Boy Rick?
So this movie was interesting. It's pretty crazy family dynamic in this movie with the character that is White Boy Rick, I think I guess they just call him Rick. It's only his friends, quote unquote, that call him White Boy Rick. And it was just an interesting dynamic of family and stuff. It was weird. I mean, it's such a weird story about how things happened. I don't know if I want to get into too much of spoilers, but it's a strange way of having an informant and how everything went down, I guess.
Yeah, I'll second that. I was looking forward to this movie. It has Matthew McConaughey in it, and he kept saying how this is going to be his comeback, breakout, earth-shattering role, which, don't get me wrong, he did a fantastic job acting in this movie.
Comeback? Like, what? I mean, I thought he's been doing fine.
Yeah, but this is kind of his coming back into the mainstream kind of thing, because he hasn't done anything real Oscar-worthy, groundbreaking in a while, I guess is a good way to put it. Not since really kind of Dallas Buyers Club.
All right, so yeah, he did Dallas Buyers Club, and then he did that movie, was it Gold? Or something?
Yes.
Or Gold?
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was an awesome movie.
It didn't, it didn't. No, audiences didn't like it. People didn't, Anyway, so that's what he was saying. And don't get me wrong, he did a fantastic job, but this movie is kind of all over the place. I was kind of let down by it because the only thing that really makes this movie good is the story. The acting was good. The family dynamic was amazing, but it bounces around a lot. And the things that the director chose to show you versus what he chose not to show you, I think were some bad calls.
Yeah, because they market this movie as like, an FBI informant and drug kingpin all before he turned 16, but they didn't really show the drug kingpin part that much.
They left a lot of it out.
His age was glanced upon a few times, but it was just, it was all over the place, like you said. I wish it was done a little bit better with just a little bit more clarity, because it's like, yeah, it could have been better movie, I think. Like, Matthew McConaughey was really good in his part.
Yeah, And same with Richie Murray, who plays White Boy Rick. He did a fantastic job acting as White Boy Rick. Really well.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
It was just what they chose to show you is not what I would have chosen, and I don't think it added anything to the movie. I don't think it helped. There was parts that I wanted to see that they didn't show you, and there were parts that they showed you where I'm like, okay, great, I guess. Like they, for example, without spoiling anything yet, they don't really explain how White Boy Rick got involved with the gangsters in the movie. He just kind of stumbles upon them. I mean, I guess, when he's selling guns, but it leads you to think that there was more to it than that, because why would they be like, oh, you sold us some guns, all right, now you're our friend?
Yeah, no, it doesn't really show, like, the nurturing of the relationship, like...
Right, and how these big, powerful gangsters trust him enough to be like almost a right-hand man almost immediately is how it comes off in the movie.
Yeah, it kind of does seem like that.
I don't know how much we could talk about without spoiling it. I mean, it's based on a true story. I don't want to spoil the ending, but it ends on a hardcore downer. For sure. So if you're going to this movie thinking you're going to have a fun evening watching this, you're not. It ends harsh, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it does show you kind of the life of getting involved with, like, drugs and, I guess, gangster-type people and stuff, because, like, White Boy Rick's sister in the movie has drug addiction problems, and then, there's things, I don't want to give away too much, but it shows you that it's not an easy lifestyle. Yeah,
she's hardcore addicted to crack, and that plays some very interesting dynamic family roles in the movie. And hopefully that didn't hit too hard on you, Mike.
Oh, no, yeah.
You don't need to talk about it, but I'm just saying I didn't even think about that until right now. But yeah, that's it's tough, man. It's tough having a family member being a hardcore addict. I can't even imagine. Anyway, so I enjoyed this film. It was good. It wasn't great. I would say, unless you really want to go see it in the movie theaters, don't waste your time. Wait until it comes out on Netflix or Redbox. It's definitely worth a watch just for the story. But there's no reason to go watch it in the theaters. I just don't see one. See one.
No, there's not a real good reason to watch it in the theaters. I was thinking that it was going to be an awesome Matthew McConaughey movie, but it's really not about him as much. He's in it, but he's more... I mean, he's a main character, but he's more on the side. It's really about Rick. White Boy Rick.
Yeah.
I was somewhat disappointed by this movie. I mean, the family dynamic is crazy, but it was neat, because you don't usually see stuff like that on TV, so it was kind of... Or on anything. It kind of showed what, like, a crazy family can be like. I feel like in the movies they downplay family life and stuff, and there's not usually so many crazy things. Like this one, everybody in the family's pretty much crazy or has something going on that's weird. In the movies, it tends to just be one particular person. There's like the outlier, like, oh, that's just Uncle Buck, he's just like that. And then everybody else is, I don't know, quote unquote normal. But this was neat to see, like, this hugely dysfunctional family, and like from the grandparents to the everyone. So that was kind of neat to see that.
Well, that's one interesting thing to bring up. You said Uncle Buck, like, which is I think how Hollywood, especially television, likes to tell the story of dysfunctional families is in a humorous kind of way, which helps people accept the dysfunction of the family, I guess is a good way to put it. And this movie, they don't do that. I mean, there's funny parts, but, you know, his sister being a drug addict is very serious. His, grandpa and grandma, you know, living across the street, showing signs of dementia is a very serious part. Yes, it's funny at times, but it's very serious.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of humor in this movie. Not really at all. There's, I don't even think there's really jokes. There's a couple one-liners, I guess.
There's some funny quotes and some funny instances, but overall, I would not say they were funny. You know, it was like that moment that makes you go, "Ha, that's pretty funny," or something like that. It's not laugh out loud kind of moment.
Yeah, definitely. You're totally right.
All right, Mike, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of our podcast. What everybody tunes in to hear. Mike, how does White Boy Rick relate to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Hey, well, thanks for asking, man. I'm excited to tell you. It is an art director who worked on White Boy Rick, Brian Felty, was an art direction on Black Panther.
So, your first episode, Black Panther.
Yes, my first episode. Episode 4, correct?
Episode number 4, yes, sir.
Yeah, episode 4, and we're on 51. So I've hung out there for a little bit.
Don't lie, it's all the bribes that I send you.
Yes. Yep. All those links to that internet porn is amazing.
Hey, you know, I know your obsession with flaccid penises, so I gotta send you something.
Yes, yeah, I you know.
Now, awesome. Mike, were you disappointed that there was no flaccid penis in White Boy Rick?
You know, I guess it was a little bit, but I mean, this movie is really serious and sad.
I'm just joking, man.
Mostly sad, so I don't know if I needed to see any flaccid white boy penis.
Well, what if it was a flaccid black boy penis? Would it have been better?
I don't know. There was a chance that I was going to, but then, you know, they covered it up.
Well, that's true. All right, so let's do it, Mike. From here on out, we are going to be talking about the spoilers in White Boy Rick. So if you do not want this movie spoiled before you go watch it, go ahead and turn off the podcast now and go look at our reviews on our website. I mean, not reviews, ratings on our website or in the show notes or wherever you download this. It'll be in there. All right, Mike, so you want me to start it off, or do you want to start off the spoilers?
No, go for spoilers. Go for it.
The ending was so freaking depressing, dude. I know that's like throwing it right to the fire, but to find out that he still is basically in jail is so screwed up.
Well, he got out of apparently he got out of prison in
2017, right?
Michigan, and then he was immediately thrown in jail in Florida.
Oh, so depressing, man. Can you imagine that?
What that was for, really, but he was thrown in jail for Florida on an unrelated charge. I'm like, of what? Didn't he already get? No, man, that was crazy. That was a crazy rule. They said if it was a certain amount of grams of cocaine, you were automatically life in prison.
Well, it wasn't just cocaine; it was crack cocaine specifically. But you got to remember, this was the 80s, and this is going to get political, and this is going to piss everybody off. But it's hard not to get political when you watch this movie and talk about this movie, because you remember what was going on in the 80s. Well, probably not, because we both were very young, but you've studied about it. And that was when Ronald Reagan and his wife, specifically mostly his wife, declared war on drugs. And so that's one of the fallouts was lifetime unquestionable sentences for certain amounts of drugs, which I think to this day has been rolled back. But back in the 80s, that was it. And this kid was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And he spent the majority of his life after that point in prison.
Yeah.
Over a drug. I mean, there was convicted murderers that were getting out before this kid was.
It wasn't just prison. It was max security, 23 hours a day in your cell, 1 hour of exercise.
Now, I don't know if they talked about that or not, if that was the whole time, but definitely when he first went in, he was under solitary confinement, max security, because one of the things that they point out at the end of the movie is that he flips on a lot of the gangsters, gets them arrested, trying to cut a deal with the FBI, and the FBI basically goes, yeah, sorry, we can't do shit. We tried our best. And so he cut this deal, jeopardizes his life for nothing. And now he gets to spend it not only in prison, but in at least solitary confinement for a while until the heat comes off of him so people don't want to kill him.
Right.
But did you see that at the end, too, where they pointed out that all the guys that were arrested that he flipped on all got out before he did?
Yeah. In the movie, they talked about white people time versus black people prison time.
Yep.
And it turns out it was backwards, I guess.
At
Maybe
least when it...
That was the point of this particular movie or whatever.
Right, and at least when it came to White Boy Rick. I don't even remember in the movie where the drugs were. Were they in his car or something?
I don't know.
Because I don't remember them pulling him out in the house. And again, that's another wonderful hole in the movie. But
no, the movie didn't
really say where they were, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
He had 8 kilograms of crack cocaine.
Yeah, they got in a car accident, and he's all dead. We need to get in partner together and do it right and take care of the thing. And then there's kind of a flash, and then I guess everything's going well, and they're like...
Yeah, his dad's opening up the video store.
Yeah, they're becoming like a family again, and then they all get arrested. And it was like, well, what the hell happened in that flat? Like, there was a lot of glancing over of things.
Yeah, and that's not the only glancing over. That's just one of the biggest ones, because like I was alluding to earlier, you really don't see him working his way into being almost a right-hand man to this big-time black gangsters in Detroit. And, I mean, they're not small. I mean, they're running a couple neighborhoods of drug dealing. They're big time.
Yeah, and they're attached to the mayor, and there's all these ties. But no, they don't talk about that. They also don't talk about, so White Boy Rick gets shot.
Yeah. Dude, exactly what I was just going to say.
And he has a colostomy bag or whatever. And they don't ever talk about if that's permanent, if he goes away. Like, is this White Boy Rick? Like, and they show a brief scene where you get to see like his scars or his stitches and stuff. And it's gnarly. Like, it's like his whole midsection is like got a giant cut in it. And then there's a scene later on where he's getting with a particular character, and I was like, oh, they're going to show the scar. Nope, just cut it. And I was like, they're not even going to talk. Like, it seemed like she would talk about, oh, what happened to you? Like, I don't know. It was weird. It seemed like they were just glancing over stuff. I don't know.
Well, I don't even really remember why he was shot. I know it was one of his friends that shot him, but I don't even remember why he was shot. I know someone had flipped, but...
No, it was because that boy that got the AK, those boys who got shot at the drive-by.
Yeah, I remember
they
that.
They were just going after
killed.
people, and for whatever reason, that guy was paranoid. His boss, I guess.
Yeah.
Little Big Man was his name. Little Big Man just decided to take out White Boy Rick, so...
Okay, so I guess it was related to that.
This is all my interpretation.
Right. It doesn't explain it really. I know it was his friend that shot him and everything, and he was one of his, same age friend, not the gangster age, the older gangster friends, but he plugged him right in the stomach. Anyways, yeah, there's just so many holes or things that they chose to show you versus not show you. Like, okay, this one they didn't have to show us, but I think they should have alluded to it a little bit more about how he fathered a child.
Oh,
They don't even show him really hooking up with the girl. They show him making out with her at a drive-in movie, and that's it. And so you're supposed to interpret that he ends up dating her at least for a while and having sex with her at least for a while. All of him making out with her at a drive-in movie once? Really?
Yeah. I did enjoy the little character that came over that came and yelled at him about not being a...
Yes.
I thought that was hilarious. But
yeah, that was pretty good. That was real good. Her younger brother, I believe, is who it was.
I think it was your younger brother. But that was... that was just one of those things. It was like, you're supposed to believe it. And you're like, what?
Yeah, and honestly, this is just me snowballing. I haven't experienced this, but I would think if he had fathered a child, the first thing that girl would want to do is go over there, knock on that door, and say, give me some money. I would figure she would want the support of him being there. Yeah, she's a kid and he was a kid, but still, you would have thought it would have been a little bit more than what it was.
Yeah.
In real life, at least, I would think.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was... I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a clusterfuck of how they told the story. The story, again, is the saving grace, and same with the acting. The story and the acting is what makes this movie. The family dynamic, we've talked about this a bunch now, but that's what really makes this movie. How they chose to tell the story was wrong. They just left too many holes. They really did. And that's why I'm not going to recommend it. I'm not going to say it's a horrible movie, but I don't recommend you go see it in the theaters. I really don't.
Yeah. So I guess with that, Matt, do you have any more to say, or do you want to get right into the ratings?
Nah, I don't know what more I can add, I really don't. It's horrible that it's a true story. It's horrible that this kid lost so much of his life over some drugs. When you think about how many vicious criminals there are in this world, and all he was peddling some drugs. Not to get a little political again and controversial, but I'm going to do it. Screw it. I don't work for the news anymore. My personal beliefs is I think you should just say screw it and legalize everything.
Yeah.
I think that would eliminate a lot of crime because the people that are going to want to do it, the people that are addicted, are going to do it anyways. It doesn't matter if it's legal or not. They're going to do it no matter what. So why not make some tax revenue off of it? Why not regulate it a little bit? Why not eliminate some of this crime and violence that surrounds the drug culture just by legalizing it all?
Yeah, no, I think if we did legalize everything, of course there'd probably be a lot of people dead quickly, but after that, we could figure out everything and it would be better.
There's been a few countries that have legalized everything, and I know that's exactly what happens. Is just what you're saying. You get a lot of people ODing all of a sudden because they can actually get a hold of it. But honestly, most of those people probably are going to OD eventually in their lifetimes anyways. I know that's harsh to say, but then it levels out and the drug use actually goes down because people... Because there's a taboo behind it being illegal, that it's, I'm doing something, illegal. I'm doing... Wow, this is intriguing and kind of,
Wow. Yeah.
Where if it's not...
That's before the addiction kicks in, but yes.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Where if it's not, then those people don't have that desire to even try it. It's just, okay, whatever. I don't know. This is just me bullshitting and thinking. It's probably wrong, but I don't care. That's my thoughts on it. And I know that goes against a lot of conservative thinking and things, but whatever. I just think it would be an easy way to help cut back on some of this crime, especially with border issues, especially with, people being gunned down over drugs and things. It might be really harsh at first, but I think over time it would be a lot better than what we have now. But who knows? Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I also enjoy the fact that we could tax it.
Yeah,
so
it would be a lot of revenue.
Make some money off of it too.
It could be a ton of revenue.
Instead of giving it all to places that don't really pay taxes.
And why not take that and put it into something that's meaningful? Don't give it to the streets. Don't give it to public works. Don't give it to politicians. Put it directly into something like the school system. Maybe even make like scholarships out of it, college scholarships and things. I think it would be huge, because why not educate our public more? Because maybe if they're more educated, then they wouldn't want to try the drugs in the first place.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just a thought. Okay, so Mike, not to get political and keep getting on track here, but let's get into it. How many reels do you give White Boy Rick?
I'm going to give White Boy Rick 3 reels.
Nice.
But with the 3 reels, I'm with you. I don't really recommend going to see this in the theater. But if it's on one of the streaming services or something, it is interesting to find out about this particular story of this teenager kid and kind of what happened to him.
Exactly. My sentiments exactly. So on that, I give it 3.5 out of 5 reels.
Ooh.
I'm not quite as harsh as Mike, but like I keep alluding to, the story and the acting is what really makes this movie. And that, the story for me is a big part of a movie. And the acting sure as heck is a second big part. But the way they told the story, the directing, nope. Wait for Netflix, wait for Redbox. Wait for something like that. Definitely watch it. Just, you don't have to stay in the theaters. Save your money. Go see something good.
Yeah.
So on that note, I don't really have anything else. I think of it this way, though. A week from today, a week from the day you're hearing this podcast, is the start of our Harvest Horror Fest.
Ooh, a Harvest Horror Fest. I'm excited.
And I think we've told everybody what the first one is going to be. But if they haven't...
I think so.
Mike, what's our first movie in Harvest Horror Fest?
This movie called Tusk.
One of your favorite Kevin Smith movies of all time, right, Mike?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is my favorite. It's really bad. It's a really bad horror movie. And I like really bad ones. But this one's not even redeemable. This one's just terrible.
I know, it's depressing, especially since it's Kevin Smith.
Yeah, but that's going to be our first one, and it can only go up from there, people.
Yep, that's kind of how, I tricked Mike into watching this movie. But I kind of envisioned us starting out with a really bad, shit-filled movie and just going to the moon afterwards. And we will, because Tusk, I think, is the worst one out of all the movies we have planned for Harvest Horror Fest. And not by worst one, like, by a little bit. Like, the worst one, like, by at least probably 3 reels. I mean, it's bad. Tusk is really bad. I'm sorry, Kevin Smith, I love you, but this movie is shit.
Yeah, Tusk is bad. Tusk is really bad.
So tune in next Thursday to hear us tear Tusk apart, basically.
Yeah. Woo!
And then we haven't decided what we're going to do for our new one next week, but Mike and I will pick it. We'll figure it out. It'll be fun. It'll be something good. There's probably about 4 or 5 decent movies out there in the theater right now. And I'm going to use my Cinemia pass to go see it. Whatever it is. Screw
nice.
you, Movie Pass.
And now you can go see movies at Harkins with Cinemia.
Yes, sir. I can see 3 a month with Cinemia. I didn't do the unlimited. The unlimited, I think, is a little bit out of my price range.
Nice. Well, 3 a month, I think, will help out quite a bit.
Yeah, 3 a month is, basically I get 2 free movies a month, and that's 50% of the movies I do for the podcast for free, so that's cool. I'm okay with that. It's still saving me money.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
I just couldn't warrant $30 a month for unlimited. I guess it probably would make sense since pretty much guaranteed to see 4 movies a month, which would be more. But maybe we won't. Maybe we'll start ramping up our legacy cast, or maybe we'll get cut back because of basketball and football. Who knows? Or your upcoming nuptials. We'll see.
Yeah, that might put a little break on it. I don't know.
So, well, that's all I got, Mike. Thanks, everybody, for continuing to listen to us rant and rave about movies. Do us a favor. Make sure to tell your friends. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to download. Visit our website. Visit our Instagrams. Email us. Send us your requests. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Mike, your turn.
Thanks everybody for listening, and this is episode 51. We're looking forward to making many more episodes, and just excited to start Harvest Horror Fest. So anyway, thanks everybody.
Thank you for listening to The Real Film Nerds. Now don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Real Film Nerds. Now go out and catch a movie.